A day at the office has now turned deadly. Gabriel Otrin and his friend Cleaver find themselves trapped in an inoperative elevator that is filling with water. The intercom system is broken, and there's no cellular service in the elevator. With the water rising quickly, they'll have to figure a way out soon.
At this point, the best option is effectively trying to bust open the ceiling. And although the water was, relatively high up at this point, I mean, really, I thought, like, it has to stop. There's just no way.
Gabriel continues to try and break through the hatch while Cleaver desperately looks for a cell phone signal. The water has risen to waist level.
Eventually, I noticed that to do the most damage on that rectangular panel, that the best thing was to stand on the handrail, support my hands elsewhere on the elevator, and then really push up on it using my head. That bent it the most. So I kept trying that because I could bend it to the point where there was now an opening, a little pocket on the side, just barely large enough that I could force my hand in there, because what I wanted to do next was to pry it open, basically jam my hand into the slight pocket. Really, I had to really force it in there. Then pivot at the wrist and push up with my elbow on that panel to try and pry it open.
Levers and leverage can work to your advantage. He would be able to manipulate and contort his own body to use to his advantage in order to free a panel away. When somebody's under significant stress, and fear is a big stressor, so sometimes people can do what seems to be almost inhuman. When somebody has that surge of adrenaline, it's gonna put them into that fight or flight response. Their heart rate increases, their blood pressure increases. Endorphins start to kick in as well, would start to numb any type of pain receptors. And that's how the body is actually an amazing thing to adapt to stressful situations, especially in a life or death instance.
Sure, that did a lot of damage, including to my skin. It wasn't budging beyond what to me seemed like 2 bolts on either side.
Gabriel is only able to pry open the hatch enough to get his hand through. However, his efforts have helped to get an intermittent cell signal. He tries making 911 calls near the opening.
Realizing the trouble that we had with getting a signal in the first place, we didn't expect that phone call to last anything more than perhaps a few seconds.
The lines are overloaded and the signal keeps dropping.
So I'm still trying to punch at it, do whatever I can to try and knock it out of there, but the best I could do was bend it, deform it to some degree, but not quite get it out. Water's rising, and the more water that be in a space, generally the less success of a cell signal.
With the 911 calls not going through, the odds of the 2 getting out get slimmer as the water continues to rise.
It seemed that it wasn't going beyond what I was able to deform it to. At the very least, with having that bent, we could get a cell signal. And I was getting a little bit tired of chewing up my hands, so I asked Cliff if I could just grab his notebook and jam that in there instead. So that's what we did. He was able to stay on the call for the rest of the duration.
Gabriel and Cleaver finally get through to 911 dispatch.
We were struggling to get any information that we need as quickly as we could, let them know that we're at the building, that we're stuck in here, there's water in here, and it's rising up and it hasn't stopped.
It's now up to the dispatch operator to find the officers that will try to save Gabriel and Cleaver's lives.
That day, the calls were coming in because of the rain that was falling. So a lot of them were flooding, but no life immersion situation, so you just kind of wait till if something's important.
With time running out, Cleaver's glasses become lost in the water. Not only are they trapped in the elevator, but he has the added problem of limited eyesight thrown into the mix. In the middle of the heavy storm, officers Ryan and Josh are about to get a life-changing call. Officers Ryan and Josh get the call from dispatch. The operator explains that 2 men are trapped in a flooded elevator.
For an afternoon shift, it usually is pretty busy for us. So we're dealing with all the other radio calls that normally happen in division. Then you add in the events that took place. There was flooding everywhere throughout 12 division, and it was coming into 11. And we happened to just clear off a radio call, and we heard the call, and because we share the bands, we just decided, hey, let's check out where this is.
There's two men that are trapped in the elevator, and the water is chest high and rising, and they're in a basement of a business building. We were at Jane and Dundas in our division, which was literally like the northwest corner of our boundaries. And Alliance in Jane was where the incident was roughly taking place. And that was essentially a couple blocks north of us. So no one could respond. Like fire couldn't respond, police, ambulance. We told dispatch, well, you can mark us on it, and we'll go there.
Struggling to accurately describe exactly how dangerous their situation is to the 911 dispatch, Cleaver uses the buttons on the elevator to indicate how high the water is.
I was very impressed that, okay, we were able to stay on the phone with 911 without inducing any additional panic or anything like that.
Dispatchers are very integral in the gathering of information. They're the first ones that make contact with whoever's putting in the 911 call. Big part of their job is to remain calm so that they can keep the caller calm and they can get appropriate information for the rescuers. A lot of times, the dispatchers will give the caller information that may save their lives.